And today's topic of discussion is on operational amplifier. Operational amplifier. By the end of this session, you are going to learn why op amp and why the name operational is required, and about inverting and non-inverting terminals, why they are called as voltage summing node and current summing node, and some numerical problems, some numerical questions, as well as, if time permits, I'm going to explain the concept of virtual ground, and also the determination of type of feedback, which is very important. Usually all neglect this topic, but you have to know how to determine the type of feedback and many such things if time permits. Okay, let's see how much we can cover and up to what extent we can proceed. So without wasting time, let's jump into the session. Okay, Subbu, okay, shall we? Okay. Now, the basic diagram of operational amplifier or the symbolic representation of an operational amplifier is like this. V out, and here a positive terminal and a negative terminal, which usually call this as V1 and this as V2. Okay, Sri Lakshmi, welcome. Okay, this is called as inverting terminal. V2 is called as inverting terminal, and V1 is called as non-inverting terminal, and this is called as output terminal. And here there will be two bias terminals, plus VSAT or minus VSAT. So usually, apart from 8-pin IC, we focus only on these 5 terminals in an op amp while solving any question. To be frank, we will neglect this and this also in problems. Mostly we will prefer the diagram of op amp as V1, V2 and V out. In some cases, if he mentioned, then only you should use these two terminals also. If not, we will use this three terminal simple op amp for solving numerical questions. And this operational amplifier, if you recall the first lecture, this is called as voltage controlled voltage source or voltage amplifier. So the necessary conditions for voltage amplifier is the input impedance Rin should be infinite for ideal case and R0 should be 0. So these are the ideal case conditions for voltage controlled voltage source or voltage amplifier. So these things we are going to see in the representation of electrical model representation of op amp. So those things we are going to see soon. Now the important thing is why this terminal, this inverting terminal is called as current summing node, and this non-inverting terminal is called as voltage summing node. These are the things you should learn primarily. But these things we are going to see soon after learning about feedback. Okay. Now, why this is called as operational amplifier? So this is the important thing that one should know. At least they should know the basic of the term. Why we usually use this term operational while saying about operation, while saying about this amplifier. So the thing is, in the early days, like in 1940 or 1950, at that period, there was a requirement of huge number of mathematical calculations in the circuit, like the requirement of adder, multiplier, subtractor. All these things was huge, really, because complex mathematical problems are not that easy to solve manually by the human. So what they thought is how to calculate these additions and multiplications and all these things. Then they got a beautiful idea of designing this amplifier, which is operational amplifier. You can do all the operations like addition, multiplication, subtraction, division, all these things, hence or integration or differentiation, because they got distracted in solving differential equations or equations which involves integrals, all these things. So they got an idea, why won't we design a device such that all these operations which are required for us can be computed using that device. We can program that device, or we can manipulate the inputs and all those things, bias voltages, all these things, so that with the help of feedback or other things, those are all secondary. But using this device, we can do all the operations like addition, multiplication, subtraction, division, all these things. Hence, for this device, the name operational amplifier was assigned to this device. And you also know that we can perform all these mathematical operations using this device in the negative feedback condition. Hence, the name operational amplifier is justified, and in such a way that the name is obtained to this device. Now, op amp is the represent the usually the open loop gain of op amp is around 10 power 6. If you write the same thing in dB, then it is 20 log 10 power 6, which is equal to 120 dB. This is such a huge gain. So the gain, usually the gain of operational amplifier is very, very, very large. And the standard output equation representation is V output equal to, if you think the gain of op amp as A naught, then it is A naught times of the differential input, that is the voltage at non-inverting terminal, that is V1, minus the voltage at inverting terminal, that is V2. So this is a standard or output equation of an operational amplifier. So this follows in all cases, but we are going to simplify this output equation for different cases. Now, this input difference is called as differential input. Okay, VD plus minus this difference. Now, the electrical model of op amp. This is also important because this will give you insight of how this will be electrical model. Okay, the electrical model of op amp. Let me draw first for ideal case so that it will be easy for you to visualize in practical case also. This would be input resistance RID between the terminals V1 and V2, that is positive non-inverting terminal and inverting terminal negative. And there would be some voltage here, some VD, let us take it as VD. Now, here it will be a differential dependent source which depends on input voltage VD, input differential voltage, and the gain of amplifier, let it be A. And here there would be small output resistance R naught, and you will take output here. Now this is the electrical model of operational amplifier. Okay, this would look like this. So this is what the op amp that we are going to look. Now for ideal case, this RID would be infinite and this R naught would be 0. That means you can represent the same model with open here. You can remove this and short circuit here. Short circuit, open circuit. Okay, so that is the electrical model representation of op amp. Now in ideal case, you will draw the same diagram by removing this terminal and shorting this terminal. But for practical case, there would be some input impedance which is very, very high, and output impedance which is very, very low. Some in this in order of 100 ohms or something like that. This would be in the order of mega ohms. It's very, very important to remember this typical value so that you will get a feel. Okay, this is dependent source. So depending on the input differential voltage, the output would vary. So the important thing is, as this input impedance is infinite, the current through these two terminals would be 0. So if you give input at any of the terminals, the current that is entering into the op amp would be 0. The current would be 0. So this is one important point that we usually use in numerical questions. So basing on this concept of electrical model, there were two previous gate bits. Okay, previous gate questions that were asked on this topic. So let me briefly tell you about those things. So if this input current IOP equal to 0, if the input current is 0, when will be this possible? When this will be possible? That is the gate question asked, and the answer will be, this is only possible when RID equal to infinite. Okay, it might look very easy, but at that instant, you should remember or you should recollect this electrical model of op amp so to answer this question. And the second question that was asked on the same topic is if V out equal to AVD, when this condition would be possible. And if you see here, to get this entire thing to the output, this R naught should be zero. If that is the case, then the drop across this would be zero, then the entire thing would be coming across the output. So this is possible only when R not equal to 0 ohms. Okay, so these are the two important gate bits that were asked. These are the two important gate bits that were asked in the previous years. Okay, but these were in earliest, that is around 2004 or 2005. But now such a simple questions were not posed in the gate exam. So just as we came across this concept, I just recollected those previous questions that were asked on this topic. But clearly it is known to us that these are ideal cases which are not practically possible to attain such a beautiful beautiful characteristics. Okay, now let us see a small table which gives the idea of typical values. Okay, typical values which are very very important. Now let me take 1 second and change this. Okay, change this. Okay, now the table will be between these things, that is idle op amp and the op amp which we usually use in our academics or lab purpose, that is 741 family, and modern op amp. Modern in the sense the industry used or present trend op amp. Okay, so let us see what are the different parameters and how those values will be for for these three things. Okay, let us make these three things. The first thing is open loop gain A naught, and the second thing is input impedance. So these will give you a clear insight of how the device, how these values were different and how can we interpret these things. Okay, output impedance, and the fourth one is speed, or also we can call this as bandwidth, and the fifth one is power dissipation. Okay, and the final thing is cost. So these are the important things that we have to see in each and every device, right? Because these are the things that mostly matter. So the A naught for ideal op amp is the open loop gain, which is infinite. The input impedance is also infinite. I think someone joined now. Okay. The input impedance is also infinite. The output impedance is zero. So this is for idle op amp. Okay. The speed and bandwidth for an idle device, the bandwidth should be as high as possible. So it is infinite. So the power dissipation should be zero for an idle device. So it should be zero. And the cost also should be zero. It should be available free, right? Because this is the term idle we are using. So these are the typical values we can say. Now for 741 family, the A naught value is around 10 power 6. Okay, it is very huge value, and the input impedance would be of several mega ohms. Okay, several mega ohms. The input impedance and the output impedance should be less than the output impedance will be less than 100 ohms. Okay, for an 741 family, all these things. Okay, let me bias these things. Okay. Okay, for an the output impedance of 741 family will be less than 100 ohms, and this speed would be around 1.5 megahertz. Okay, and the power dissipation is around 80 milliwatts, and the cost is some less than 100 rupees or somewhat like that. Okay, or less than 100 rupees. Okay, it's okay, fair. Okay, now the things that you should notice is few points, few important points. Now, if you see this this is very very less than the idle value. The idle value or the idle speed or bandwidth of an idle op amp is infinite, but this is somewhere around 1.5 megahertz. Okay, so this is not that good specification to be used. Okay, the bandwidth is somewhat less in 741 family, and even the power dissipation also, it is a huge power that is dissipating across the device, because here it is, for ideal case it should not dissipate any power, but here around 80 megawatt of power is dissipating, even 80 milli, sorry, milli. So even though it's 80 milli, it is not such a small value, because several thousands and thousands of such type of devices would be used in an integrated chip. So it's a huge headache for us for such a huge amount of power dissipation. And the cost is also not fair. It is somewhat costly if you look. So these three are not such good specifications for 741 family op amp. Now the specifications, if you look at the specifications for modern IC, they were like this. Okay, for modern op amp, the gain is around 50 to 100. Okay, don't worry why such a huge drop in the gain. Now this is of several mega ohms, same, no change, but this increase it to several kilo ohms. Okay, this is slightly a problem, but we can manage with this. Okay, several kilo ohms, and the bandwidth is of several gigahertz. Okay, it is incremented to a huge value of several gigahertz, which is a primary importance to us, because bandwidth is very, or the speed is very important for us. So for this to attain a several gigahertz of speed, there is a trade-off, that is the input impedance is not, the gain is reduced, and also the output impedance is increased to some kilo ohms. The power dissipation is very good, that is 5 to 10 milliwatts, and the cost is also approximately of 1 rupee, because on an IC you will fabricate several lakhs of transistors, so it several lakhs of devices, such devices. So it would be very easy for us to get modern op amp for around 1 rupee or somewhat like that. Okay. Now the thing you should focus is, we will typically read that the gain bandwidth product is constant. Okay, the gain bandwidth product is constant. Now this give you a feel, as here the gain is large, the bandwidth is reduced. Here the gain is small, so the bandwidth is increased. So this is one such interpretation which you can make regarding these things. Now slightly we will focus one more or few minutes, like 1 to 2 minutes, of why op amp is required. Okay, why op amp? So the first two important points we can make on this question, why op amp. So before going to that, let me know, guys, are you clear so far, or any queries? Okay, only two are there. Okay, Subbu and Lakshmi clear. Okay, now 2 minutes, investing 2 minutes on this point, that is why op amp is required, is okay, no need to worry. And operational amplifier is required to compute mathematical operations. Okay, to compute mathematical operations, it is very easy for us to solve using these devices instead of solving manually. Okay, in olden days the requirement, as I already told you, in olden days it's there is a situation to solve differential equations, integrals, all these things, then this device is like a god to them. This helped a lot for them. Okay, and the second important point is to visualize complex circuits, to visualize complex circuits. Okay, if there was a circuit like this, using a MOS, if there was a circuit like this, as it is a two input device, it's very easy for us if there is a feedback or something like that. Okay, okay. Now if there is a huge bulky circuit like this, then this is not that huge, to be frank, but in real life there will be several number of MOSFETs and all we will face in a simple circuit. But for as a beginner, it's okay, it's, we can treat this as a huge circuit. Now you can replace this entire thing with an op amp. You can treat this thing as op amp, or you can visualize this complex circuit like this, a negative feedback. No, don't worry, I will teach you, but just as a thing that why op amp is required, you can interpret this, that's all. Don't go deep whether the circuit is absolutely correct or not. Don't bother about all those things, but see how simple it is to solve this circuit than solving this circuit. So if you know thoroughly about op amps, then you can model such type of circuit simply using op amp, and you can interpret the results, or you can get to the final results which you require. Okay, so that is also one more important use of op amp, or one more important point that you can add if anyone asks you why op amp. Okay, now with all these things we completed the basics of operational amplifier. Now we can deep dive into the important concept, that is transfer characteristics. Okay, transfer characteristics of an op amp. So before going to the transfer characteristics of op amp directly, let me draw a simple circuit, an amplifier of gain 1. You take the amplifier of gain 1, and this would be my output. Here my input V1 and V2. Okay, so instead of writing all these things, I will write simply V differential voltage, VD. So my output would be gain times of VD, where the gain is equal to 1. So my output equal to VD, V differential output. Let me take the saturation values as plus 10 volts and minus 10 volts. Now for this device, if you draw the transfer characteristics, that is the characteristics between input and output, voltage transfer characteristics. If I take my input on this x-axis, as my input is treated in the form of differential input, so let me take VD here and V out here. Okay, let me take VD and V out like that. So this is my VD and this is my V naught. So if I draw the transfer characteristics, this is my output and this is my input. So it is like y equal to mx of slope 1. Okay, so this would give me a straight line that is passing through origin. So this is the usual transfer characteristics of this amplifier. But if you look carefully, after reaching certain VD, that is 10, if you exceed 10, then there is no room for your output to go beyond plus 10 volts, or no room for your output to go beyond plus or minus 10 volts. Now it will saturate after reaching a threshold value, or the bias value, that is plus 10 or minus 10 volts. So these will be your final characteristics of your device, not operational amplifier, but an amplifier of gain 1. So this is the characteristics. Now if you look this carefully, there are three modes to look. So this is one region of operation, and this is a second thing, and this is a third thing. We are going to look at these things soon, but for time being, you don't focus on those things. You just try to see that there are three different regions. This is one region and this is saturation regions we are going to see. Now if I increase this gain to 10, a equal to 1, instead of that I am increasing the gain to 10. So the same amplifier, the same characteristic, other characteristics remain same, but the gain is increased to 10. Now the same output equation will be V out equal to 10 times of VD. As the slope is increased, the characteristics would be somewhat like this. Okay, as the slope is increased, let me take a black color to draw this. So the characteristics would be somewhat like this. Sorry, the characteristics would be like, because the slope increased, right? Here the slope is 1, but here the slope is 10. Now again, after reaching 10, it will saturate. So this, so these characteristics are one gain equal to 10. These characteristics are one gain equal to 1. Now, the point that I want to make from this concept is, as the gain of amplifier increases, the characteristics are leaning towards output axis. They are moving towards the output axis. Now, if you study the characteristics of op amp, which are quite similar, but here the gain is very, 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 very large. It is around 10 power 6, or ideally you can take this as infinite also. So the characteristics between out differential input and output, if you draw plus 10 and minus 10, okay. Now if you draw the characteristics would be like this: VD, V out, and the characteristics characteristics would be almost equal to like this, minus 10 plus 10. Okay, so these are the transfer characteristics of an operational amplifier, high gain op amp, because Vd equal to V out by gain, that is infinite, so equal to 0. So at this instant right away you'll get these values. Now if you look at this thing, there are three different zones of operation. This zone called as zone 1, and this is called as zone 2, and this is called as zone 3. Now how to simplify or solve the numerical questions means, this analysis is called as piecewise analysis of characteristics. You are analyzing the entire characteristics, or you are dividing the characteristics into three pieces, that is piece 1, piece 2, and piece 3. Okay, you are analyzing the characteristics of this in three different zones. Now if my v output, let me write the equation once, gain times of Vd, that is V1 minus V2. Okay, now, if you analyze the characteristics, piecewise characteristics, if Vd equal to 0, if Vd equal to 0, in the sense V1 equal to V2, if V1 equal to V2, then Vd equal to 0, right? Then your output would be, from this zone, which will lie in, then output will be in zone 1. That means minus Vsat less than Vout less than plus Vsat. Okay, and if Vd equal to positive, if Vd equal to positive in the sense V1 greater than V2, if V1 is greater than V2, then your Vd is positive. Then your output will be in zone 2. That means V output would be greater than I mean equal to Vsat, as it is saturating. So it would be equal to Vsat. So this is your second zone. Okay. Now if Vd, third zone, if Vd equal to negative, then V1 is less than V2, which means output would be in zone 3. So V output equal to minus Vsat. Okay, if you know these three things, then you can solve major number of numerical questions by using this simple logic. We are going to analyze piece by piece of these things. Okay. Now, before entering into the concept of virtual ground, let me make sure that you guys are clear with all these things so far. Guys, clear so far, right? Or any doubts? Clear. Okay. Now, before going to the concept of virtual ground, let me explain this important thing. If you recollect in your lab works or all, if you recollect in your lab works, while observing the CRO, will you get the output waveform immediately from the origin, or there will be uh, some fluctuations in your waveform, and soon it will going to be stable? You got my question, right? In your yes, there will be some fluctuations, right? So then here in the op amp, we are writing the output directly stable, right? We are giving the output directly stable. But is this really possible to get a stable output right away after we applying input, or will there be any fluctuations in the output, and or will there be any transition time? Is any transition time possible for an op amp, or will it give direct stable output? So that is the thing we are going to focus. So this is very important, just for a physical interpretation. Okay, let me take a small example like this. For my simplicity, let me take this as 1k 1k, because then this voltage divider circuit, or this resistor divider network, will give me easy output here, so that I can interpret. So this is a negative feedback, but don't worry, we are going to discuss them. Let me take this as 3 volts. Okay, the gain of amplifier, let it be 1. Okay, for our ease of calculation. Okay. Now, usually what you are going to do is, this is V naught by 2, that you all guys all know, because the current that is entering into the op amp terminals is 0. Now, if I right away give you this question and ask you to solve, what you will do? You will write simply like this. Let me use this space. V out equal to gain times of differential input V1 minus V2. So V out equal to gain is given as 1, and V1 is given as 3 volts, minus V2 is V naught by 2. So this same will come here, right? V2, V naught by 2. So V naught by 2. Now, if you solve this, V naught plus V naught by 2 equal to 3. So your V naught would be 2 V naught plus V naught, 3 V naught by 2 equal to 3. So V naught would be 2 volts. So this would be your answer. But for getting this 2 volts output, what this device will do in real life, or what how this computation would occur in real life, is an important thing if you can focus. Now that is the thing I'm going to explain. So in general, the analysis will be like this. So let me write a small table V1 minus V2, and here let me write V out equal to gain times of V1 minus V2. As gain is equal to 1, simply V out equal to V1 minus V2. So let me let me assume the output is around some 8 volts. Okay, the output is some 8 volts. Here initially I'm assuming 8 volts, but the answer is 2 volts, right? Okay, I don't know, or the device itself don't know what the output is. So let us assume some value that is around 8 volts. Okay, now V1 is 3 volts, that won't change, but V2 will be 8 by 2 because V naught by 2, right? So 8 by 2. So 3 minus 4, my new output would be minus 1. Now again, if you compute this for some more time, V1 will won't vary, 3 minus of minus 1 by 2. So I think you got what I'm doing. It is 3.5. Now again, 3 minus 3.5 by 2. You will get some negative value. Sorry, 3.5 by 2 is 1.75. So you'll get here 1.25. Again, if you simplify 3 minus 1.25 by 2, you'll get some value that is around 1.25 by 2 is around zero point 0.6 or something. 3 minus 0.6, it will be somewhat around 2.3 or 2.4 in between that. Now, after some iterations, now let us picturize these iterations. Let us draw as a picture these iterations. Okay. Then you can observe a tremendous or a marvelous observation. I have started from 8 volts, right? I have started from 8 volts. Then it is fluctuated to some value that is minus 1, like this. Then again, it went to the value 3.5. And again, it went to 1.25. And again, it went to 2.3. Now, if you observe this as a chain, the values are gradually decreasing. From 8, it reached 3.5, next 2.5, 2.3. And similarly, here from 1, it is increased to 1.25 and all. So after these continuous fluctuations like this, after this continuous fluctuation, soon it is going to trace its original output, that is V naught equal to 2 volts. If you repeat these iterations, at some point, see here, 8 volts to 3.5, 3.5 to 2.3, or here also you can see minus 1 to 1.25, 1.25 to somewhat like that. If you continue or perform these calculations or these iterations, soon it will going to hit the original output trace 2 volts. And then if once it is reached to 2 volts, then this would be 1 volt. So 3 minus 1 is always 2. So then it will clamp, or it will stuck at that value, that is 2 volts. So in this way, in real life, the op amp is tracing its output, and this the time required for the device to trace this output, this time is called as transition time. This time is called as transition time. Okay. Now this is what you are going to see in your lab. In your lab, this small fluctuations that will happen in the transition time is what you are going to look in your lab exam, in your labs, or all those things. Okay. Now, as the loop gain decreases, the error between the terminals also decreases. What I'm thinking to say is this converges to a fixed value. Now, let us do the same thing for increased gain. Now, what I'm thinking, guys, are you clear so far? Yes, are you clear? You got this right? How it is going to get a stable output? Yes. Okay. Now the important thing is I'm going to erase all these things. If you want, you can take a snapshot right now. You can watch the recorded session. So this is how the fluctuations, right? So now let me create the room same spot so that it would be easy for you to interpret what if gain increases. The point that I made right now, right? It is converges. The output let me derive. Let me show you that on paper. Okay. Now here the differential value is, if gain is 1, The differential value is 2 volts. 3 minus 1, 2 volts, right? Okay. Now what if the gain is increased to 10? The same circuit. Now I am erasing all these values. Okay. Remaining all won't change, right? Now what if the gain is 10? Now I am increasing the gain to 10. This won't change, V naught by 2. Now again you derive the same model here. V naught equal to 10 into V1 minus V2. So V naught equal to 10 into V1 is 3 volts minus V2 is V naught by 2. Now V naught equal to 30 minus 5 V naught. So 6 V naught equal to 30. So V naught equal to 5. Now if you look here, the output now is not 2 volts, but it is 5 volts. Okay. Now same, if you write the voltage at this node, it is 2.5 volts. So previous case it is 1 volt, but now it is 2.5. Now if you look at the differential voltage, this is 3 minus 2.5, that is 0.5. But in previous case it is 2 volts. So this is the point that I want to make right now. As the loop gain increases, this increases from 1 to 10, the error between the error between these two terminals, non-inverting and inverting terminal, converges, or it is decreases to a lesser value. And when this error between these two terminals reaches zero, that condition is called as virtual ground condition or virtual short condition. Okay. In general, for an op amp, this gain is very, 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 very high, that is around infinite or around 10 power 6, right? Hence, for a operational amplifier in a negative feedback condition, we will use the concept of virtual ground. I think now you got my point of why I'm saying that the concept of virtual ground is used only when the gain is very, very high, and also the circuit is in negative feedback condition. Okay, don't worry. Just this example is just to give you a feel that as gain increases, the differential voltage or the error between these two terminals will decrease. So that is the point I want to make. Now I am going to uh, jump into a beautiful concept, that is concept of virtual ground, which is very, very important to solve numerical questions. Okay, like this is a heart of uh, numericals. This concept is like heart of numericals. Okay. Now before explaining the concept of virtual ground, the main important thing that you should notice is, as gain increases, the error between terminals will be decreasing. So this is the basic point to learn about concept of virtual ground. Now let me draw the same circuit again. So this is very, very important when to use virtual short condition and all those things. So we are going to see them. Don't worry. Anyone join now? Okay. V in here. Okay. So now the gain of this device op amp is A, which is very, very large. Okay. Now if you write the output equation, that would be gain times of V1 minus V2. So we can write V output by gain equal to V1 minus V2. As this gain tends to infinite, V output by infinite equal to 0, which is equal to V1 minus V2. So V1 equal to V2. So this is called as a concept of virtual ground. So when is this possible means the gain should be, when is this possible means the gain should be very, very high. Gain should be very, very high. It can be infinite or very, very high, like some 10 power 6 or 10 power 8, like that. And one more important thing is, it should have a negative feedback. So if you can look these 2 points in a circuit, negative feedback is very, very important. Negative feedback is must to apply the concept of virtual ground, and the gain also should be very, very high. So please uh, focus on these 2 points, or please keep mind on these 2 points, that the gain should be very, very high, and it also should have a negative feedback. So these two things are mandate to apply the concept of virtual ground. Now, why I'm explaining, why I'm saying that negative feedback is must means. Now, I think already you got idea why gain should be high to apply virtual short. Now, let me justify this point that why I told negative feedback is must. So, the more generalized look of this circuit is V in, those are given to a summer. This is usually getting added in negative way. So, V2, or let us take this as V1. And here there would be an amplifier. Yeah. And here you are taking output. So there will be a beta network and all those things. So for God's sake, just you forget all those things. You directly assume that this is connected here. Now this thing is called as VD. Let me change the pen color. So this is VD. Okay. This is VD. Now this VD is given as V in or V1 minus V2. So if this is adding in negative manner or this is adding as a negative way, then only the error going to reduce. This error is going to decrease. So that's why negative feedback is must to apply concept of virtual ground. If it is added in positive way, then this is never going to reduce. This error going to increase. Those there are also several applications for that also. That is positive feedback networks we are going to see. But this is the importance of negative feedback circuit where you can apply virtual short only in the negative feedback case. So these 2 points are like got thumb rules to apply the concept of virtual ground. So far clear, right? So far clear, guys. So far clear. Output equal to 0 if V2 equal to V2. I didn't get your point. No, the gain, see, that is not actual short, but that is virtual short. In the sense, there would be a small, minute differential voltage in the order of millivolts or microvolts. Now, if that's got multiplied with this huge gain, you will get a usual output of some value. Okay, you got my point, right? So if V1 equal to V2, then output should be 0 is your question. That is virtual short, but not ideal short. Okay. That's why if you recollect your one question that that was famous in your in op amps, there would be some circuit like this. Here you will connect V out. One student also asked me. So this is minus and this is positive. There will be some question like this. If you apply the concept of virtual short, then the potential across this would be 0. Here also it would be 0. Then he asked me whether he can assume these two resistances parallel. If this is R1 and this is R2, can we assume these two as parallel? Means no, you should not assume that as parallel. You should go for KCL or nodal analysis to solve this, but you should not assume these two resistances parallel. So that why, because this is not an actual ground, but this is a virtual short. Okay, the difference would be very small or negligibly small. So we usually neglect that and treat that as ground condition. So that is called as virtual short condition. Okay, so far clear, right? Now we are going into now let us give you an overview of how the course would be, as this is a first class. The next things that we have to cover is, as now we have seen, there is a possibility of feedback. Now, the possibility is no feedback case. There can be circuits with no feedback, or circuits with positive feedback possible, or circuits with negative feedback is possible. Now, in each, what are the different things that we are going to see? In no feedback case, there is a concept of comparators and all. So, okay, just for an overview, I'm writing all these names. Don't worry if you don't know all these things. We are going to see soon. Okay. For positive feedback, there can be a wave shape generators or Schmitt trigger circuits and all those things, or triangle wave, square wave generators, all these things. For negative feedback, as I already told you, we will use this for operations, that is like adder, multiplier, subtractor, all these things, integrator, differentiator, all these things. So if you can figure out all these three types of feedbacks or circuits, then directly it's like 90% or 80% of the course, or 80% of operational amplifiers topics are completed. So we are going to see that those things soon. But the important thing is, as we came across the point of telling what are the different types of feedbacks that are possible, Now learning about determination of type of feedback. Okay, determination of type of feedback. That means if a circuit was given, how to tell which type of feedback is there, whether it is negative feedback or positive feedback or no feedback. This determination of type of feedback is very, very important. Let me give you a small example. Many will think that if there is a feedback path from output to input, then there exists a feedback, but that's not entirely true. If you take a circuit, a simple circuit like this, um, we output into 3 by 3 plus, let me take 15K, and here let me take 5 and 25K. Now, if you look at these two terminals, this is V1, V2, right? Okay, now if you look at this simple circuit example, then what type of feedback? Many will say either positive or negative, but no one will say that no feedback. V not into 3K by 3 plus 15, 3 by 18, so 1 by 6. Here also 5 by 30, 1 by 6. So this is absolutely an example for no feedback case. Okay, no feedback case. Soon in the next session, we are going to see which type of feedback, how to determine the type of feedback. My point is, many will think that if there is a path from output to input, then they will think that there is some feedback, either positive or negative, but it is very important to know which type of feedback a circuit is connected in. So if you know that, and if you are clear that it is absolutely negative feedback, and then you check for the gain, if the gain is large enough, then only apply a concept of virtual ground. Until and unless, don't go for virtual short condition if you are not sure that the circuit has a negative feedback or the circuit has a high gain. If you are not sure about those things, then you can go with the standard formula of an op amp, V out equal to gain times of differential input. You should use only this formula if there is no possibility for negative feedback or high gain. Okay, so that's all for this session. Soon, by taking a small peak break of few minutes or few hours, again I will resume the class in the next session, that is op amp 2. So far you are clear, guys? Are you clear with this session on op amp 1? Guys, are you clear? Okay, any doubts? No. Okay, then we will